In other news, Thor 4 takes a dump at the box office after week 2. Jamie Lee Curtis's, well, not so subtle racism. And then, well, here we go again. A man gets nominated for Woman of the Year. Why? Because of course. I'm Jasper Gonzo, and this is what's next. All right, story number 1. This comes out of Cosmic Book News. Thor, Love and Blunder, box office crumbles. Kevin Feige fails again with his Phase 4, or, as is better well known, MCU approach that is a complete and utter disaster. Well, we didn't see this coming, did we? But Thor, Love and Thunder box office is crumbling in its second weekend at the box office. It's actually unbelievable as a movie is just so good, right? But for some reason, Marvel fans are turning up their noses at the Waititi sequel to Thor Ragnarok. Imagine that. Early estimates for the second weekend were at 50 million, but Thor, Love and Blunder fails to deliver as it's only coming in at 46.5, which is a huge drop, 68% from week 1. Amongst MCU's worst, which includes Doctor Strange and a multitude of nuttiness, and Black Widow, of course, as we all know, a complete and utter failure. For comparison, Ragnarok only dropped 53.5 and brought in over 57 week 2. That's almost a 20% decline in revenue, and it's probably safe to say that Love and Blunder will see a further decline in the coming weeks. It's also now looking as Thor, Love and Blunder will make less than Ragnarok, 853 million, and end up somewhere maybe in the 700 million range. Wow, it's another disaster for Kevin Feige's Phase 4 or Phase Woke that killed the MCU. Deadline is also unbelievably spends a lot of BS offering a flick that is great to see in ScreenX theaters, which is also hilarious. Of course, this person said, they went to see the flick last night with their 14-year-old son and a 9-year-old friend in a theater that wasn't packed at all, but those who were there in their teens and 20s. My 14-year-old hated it, my 9-year-old fell asleep, and judging by that reception, the rest of the audience couldn't believe how dumb the movie is. It's like Kevin Feige says, let's see how dumb we can make a movie for our zombie MCU audience and throw in a dumb joke after dumb joke. Well, I don't think you could dumb it down anymore. What sucks is we know that Waititi filmed almost 4 hours of footage that included a lot of cool scenes, so we know that means that he was working off a completely different script. But Feige and his Phase Woke producer crew mandated Waititi make it 2 hours and as goofy as fuck. The Natalie Portman, of course, the Thoretta scenes were actually cool, of course, but Chris Hemsworth as Thor is a complete abomination, and of course, as we all know, he got deballed and emasculated. A bastardization of everything that is Thor, and again, a complete joke. I can't see how anyone who calls himself a Marvel fan can like this movie. It's moronic and completely embarrassing and insulting, and now Waititi is going to direct, a Star Wars movie. Good luck, folks. We go from that to this. This comes out of Bounding in the comics. Jamie Lee Curtis thought Ana de Armas was inexperienced and unsophisticated. Of course, because she's Cuban. Yes, of course, you're Spanish. You're an idiot. Actress Ana de Armas has built up quite a resume in the last few years with notable roles in films like No Time to Die, which of course was James Woke, and Blade Runner for 2049, which was meh at best. However, that doesn't mean she is well known. Because not only did Jamie Lee Curtis have no idea who she was when they filmed in 2019 Knives Out, but Curtis thought Armas was inexperienced and unsophisticated when they first met, because of course she was Cuban. In an interview with Elle magazine, Curtis said that she assumed, and of course as we all know, when you assume, you make an ass out of you and me. Said, de Armas had just arrived from Cuba and was new in Hollywood when the two met in Knives Out. I assumed, I say this with real embarrassment, because she had come from Cuba when she just arrived. I made an assumption that she was an experienced enough sophisticated young woman. The first day I was like, oh, what are your dreams? Curtis explained that she asked de Armas because she was so impressed with her that Jamie wanted to introduce her to her godchildren, Maggie and Jake Gyllenhaal. However, she was surprised to learn that de Armas already knew Jake. There's a lot to unpack here. Ana de Armas was born in Havana but hasn't lived there since her teens. De Armas has already been working in Hollywood for a number of years before Knives Out. The only thing is simple to know that Ana de Armas is, but another thing is to assume that she's inexperienced and unsophisticated, because she was fresh off the Cuban boat. The irony is that the film's Knives Out was praised by progressive film critics, of course, because it attacked the MAGA. The film, which was written and directed by Last Jedi's Roundhead Johnson, does not attempt to hide its disdain for Trump people, and critics gushed about it, calling it a fun FU to rich white Trump voters. While the film took numerous shots at the Trump family for their supposed racism and selfishness, it was Jamie Lee Curtis who ironically displayed the same bigotry that she accused others of. People were not happy about Jamie Lee Curtis's comments, and many called her out for a backhanded racism in her statement. The casual racism of Jamie Lee Curtis, Ellen DeArmas, is both infuriating and totally expected. It's cringy as hell, and also exactly in the line with how Americans are taught to think about both Cuban specifically and Hispanic people generally. We go from that to this. This comes from Outkick. Tennis legend, fellow nominated swimmer, slams UPenn decision to nominate Will Thomas for NCAA's Woman of the Year award. The University of PA is not the least bit concerned about the widely covered controversies around trans swimmer Will Thomas. UPenn isn't ignoring the controversy. It's leaning into it based on the fact that it's nominated Thomas for its 21-22 NCAA's Woman of the Year award. Martina Navratilova, yes, tennis legend, one of the greatest ever to play the game, isn't ignoring this situation either. The tennis legend took to Twitter and asked if there weren't enough fabulous real women athletes UPenn could have nominated for the award. Navratilova, not enough fabulous women athletes out there, NCAA? What is wrong with you? Navratilova is far from the only one criticizing the university's move to nominate Thomas for the award. University of Kentucky swimmer Riley Gaines, who tied Thomas for 5th place in the women's 200 meters NCAA title race, also voiced her frustration about the situation. Gaines quoted Clay Travis's tweet explaining that Thomas's nomination is yet another slap in the face to women everywhere. Agreed. Being a real girl on that photo, and also University of Kentucky's nominee for NCAA Women of the Year award, yep, this is another slap in the face to women. First a female national title, and now a nomination for a pinnacle award in collegiate athletes. The NCAA has made this award absolutely worthless. Last month, one of Thomas's teammates at UPenn anonymously described the swimmer as mentally ill, which of course is factually true. Prior to that story in June, Outkick also reported that it was believed that Thomas colluded with another quote-unquote trans swimmer before the race. Thomas is only one of 577 nominees out of almost 223,000 female student athletes in the NCAA. So it's a big pool, but it's a small nomination. The women to potentially receive the award are supposedly to be, quote, female student athletes who have exhausted their eligibility and distinguished themselves in their community, in athletics, in academics through their college years. UPenn nominating Thomas comes in a month after FINA, the world's governing body for swimming, said, hell no, no trans allowed. The decision to nominate Thomas at UPenn's latest signal, or shall we say, virtue signaling, the world know that it's all in its progressive ideology. You know, just in case you weren't aware of where the Philadelphia Ivy League school stood on that scale. First, with Thor taking a dump after week 2, it's not a surprise. I think that you have Top Gun is the only major blockbuster that maybe took, 20% fall off come week 2, and yet it cruised past, no pun intended, $1 billion. Well, Thor 4, Love and Thunder, or Love and Blunder, or Thor Edda, and of course some guy named Thor. Not surprising that in phase woke in the MCU, it falls in line with the disastrous Black Widow, Shang-Chi and the 10 bracelets, and also the ultimately cringeworthy, the Eternal trash. So it's pathetic. It's pathetic. You take a great character like Thor and you reduce him to a piece of shit. Wow. Good job, Marvel. Good job. Now with Jamie Lee Curtis's, of course, subtle racism, no surprise. Really? She's Cuban, she's Spanish, so automatically it makes her dumb, makes her ignorant, makes her uneducated. And of course, Will Thomas, nomination for Woman of the Year in NCAA collegiate sports. I think, again, it's a joke. It's a fucking clown show that you would nominate somebody who is suffering a mental illness and nominate them and celebrate them and give them pom-poms and handstands and celebrating like they hit the lottery. This is an absolute joke. An absolute joke. But then again, this is what happens when you live in the world of Groomerville. And with that being said, I'm Jazz Berganzo. This is What's Next. Want to see more just like this? Please leave a comment below. Like it, share, subscribe to it. And we'll catch you guys on the next one. Peace.